The teachers started banning the Google because...
Did they call it the Google?
The Google. If you could just look up every fact, then what was the purpose of going to history class and memorizing facts? Like, we were going to lose something so critical about how we teach our children and what it means to be a responsible member of society. If you could just look up any fact instantly, you didn't even have to like fire up the combustion engine, drive to the library, find, look in the card catalog, find a book. It was just there. It felt unjust. It felt wrong. It felt like we were going to lose something. We weren't going to do that. And with all of these, what happens is like we get better tools, expectations go up, but so does what someone's capable of. And we just learn how to do more difficult, more impactful, more interesting, whatever things. And I expect AI to be like that.
What his proudest achievement was. It wasn't the Mac or the iPod or the iPad. It was the team that built those products.
I don't do the research. I don't build the products. I mean, I make some decisions, but not most of them. The thing I get to build is the company. So that is certainly the thing I have pride of authorship over.
So what do you actually do? Like, how do you spend your time?
It's a great question. Somehow the early mornings are never that chaotic, but then it often like all goes off the rails by the afternoon, and there's all of this stuff that's happening, and you're kind of in reaction mode and firefighting mode. So I've learned to get the really important things done early in the day. I spend the majority of my time thinking about research and compute and the products that we build, and then less on everything else. But what that could look like at any given time
with a child on the way, as a soon-to-be father, what kind of world are you hoping to see for the next generation?
Abundance was the first word that came to mind. Prosperity was the second. But, generally just a world where people can do more, like be more fulfilled, live a better life, however we define that for each of ourselves. All those things. Mm-hmm. Probably the same thing every other soon-to-be dad has ever wanted.
Everybody believes that AI is game-changing, and nobody has a clue what it means for leadership, for work, for organizations, for products and services. Like they're all in the dark.
In that sense, it's more like the Industrial Revolution than the than the Internet Revolution. There are huge known unknowns of how this is going to play out, but I think we can say a lot of things about how it is going to play out too.
So I want to hear those things. So a couple of hypotheses that I have. One is that we're going to stop valuing ability and start valuing agility in humans.
There will be a kind of ability we still really value, but it will not be raw intellectual horsepower to the same degree.
Great scientists are really good at recognizing a promising idea, and the bad ones are vulnerable to false positives. So that's all good news, right? Incredible unlocking of scientific creativity. But it comes with a cost, which is, in the study, 82% of scientists are less satisfied with their work. They feel they get to do less creative work and their skills are underutilized. And it seems like humans in that case are being reduced to judges as opposed to creators or inventors. I would love to know how you think about that evidence and what do we do about that?
I have two conflicting thoughts here. One of the most gratifying things ever to happen at OpenAI, for me personally, is as we've released these new reasoning models, we give them to legendary scientists, mathematicians, coders, whatever, and ask what they think. And hearing their stories about how this is transforming their work and they can work in new ways, things about getting more well-known is, I don't phrase everything perfectly, for very little benefit to me or to OpenAI. I just open up a ton of attacks or whatever. And that is a bummer.
I do think that is a privilege you lose, the ability to just riff and play with ideas publicly and be partially wrong or have incomplete thoughts.
Mostly wrong with some gems in there.
But
that was what I went for.
I mean, that being said, some of us are grateful that you're a little more circumspect than some of your peers who don't exercise any self-reflection or self-control.
Well, that's a different thing. There's also something about just being a thoughtful, somewhat careful
something
person.
You've rethought recently on AI or changed your mind about?
I think a fast takeoff is more possible than I thought a couple of years ago.
How fast?
Feels hard to reason about, but something that's in a small number of years rather than a decade.
What do you think is the worst advice people are given on adapting to AI?
AI is hitting a wall. which I think is the laziest fucking way to try to not think about it and just, put it out of sight, out of mind.
What's your favorite advice on how to adjust? Or what advice would you give on how to adapt and succeed in an AI world?
This is so dumb, but the obvious thing is like just use.
Really curious to hear about what your take is on this newfound opportunity we have to correct people's misconceptions with these tools.
There are people in the world that can do this, that can kind of expand our mind in some way or other, and it's very powerful. There's just not very many of them, and it's like a rare privilege to get to talk to them. But if we can make an AI that is like the world's best dinner party guest, super interesting, knows about everything, incredibly interested in you, and takes the time to like understand where they could push your thinking in a new direction, that seems like a good thing to me.